Have you ever worked with someone who constantly interrupted you? Had a colleague comment on your appearance in a way that felt uncomfortable or just plain inappropriate? Been mistaken for an intern, or had someone assume you're much more junior than you are?
Being interrupted in meetings all the time. All the time.
He stood up to speak, looked at me, and very calmly said, "Evelina, would you please get me water?"
These are all examples of microaggressions. You probably already know that women face more microaggressions at work than men. For women who face additional biases on top of sexism, workplace microaggressions are more likely to cross over into personal attacks. For example, women of color in white-dominated countries are often humiliated by backhanded compliments like, "Wow, you're so articulate," or "You speak English so well."
As an Asian American, I do experience microaggressions. Like, what are you? Where are you really from?
Time and time again, this has happened to me, and it's happened to other women who I know, particularly women of color, who offer an innovative idea in a meeting conversation. And it's a great idea, and it receives a ho-hum response. And in that same conversation, a few minutes later, a male colleague makes the same contribution, very similar comment, and it's, "Oh my gosh, what a great idea."
Of course, microaggressions aren't the only way bias shows up at work. Women face many types of unfair treatment, such as being underpaid and discriminated against in hiring and promotions. But microaggressions happen a lot, and they take a huge toll. The burden should not be on women to fix these problems. It's on leaders and companies to call out bias and create a better culture. But right now, microaggressions are an unfortunate reality. So when you experience one, what can you do? First of all, know that it's not on you to confront anyone. If calling out a microaggression feels unsafe, uncomfortable, or exhausting, it's okay to simply focus on taking care of yourself. Connect with people you trust for validation and support. And remind yourself that you are talented and worthy of respect. If you want to say something, research shows that doing so can help you feel more empowered and in control. It can also change other people's behavior. If the person who committed the microaggression doesn't realize they're causing harm, or doesn't think they'll face consequences, calling attention to it could get them to act differently in the future. There are 3 main strategies you can use to speak up, either on your own behalf or when you observe microaggressions against other women. One option is to simply state the facts. Researchers have found that this is the best way to make people aware their behavior was wrong without triggering a defensive response. For example, if someone assumes you're more junior than you really are, tell them your actual job title in a matter-of-fact tone. Or if someone suggests you're not ready for a promotion, you could summarize your recent accomplishments. Another way to respond is to ask a question that pushes the other person to reflect on their thinking. You might be surprised by the power of the simple question, "What makes you say that?" You can use this response if someone criticizes you for being emotional, unfairly calls your performance into question, and in lots of other situations. If you sense the person acted without thinking and genuinely wants to treat you with respect, you can tell them directly how their actions were harmful. It's often easiest to do this by following up privately. Describe exactly what they did and how it affected you. This might sound something like, "You interrupted me quite a few times on our last client call. You may not realize it, but that was distracting, and it made it hard to get my point across." No matter how you respond, you should be aware that there's a risk you'll get pushback. Research shows you can reduce it by speaking confidently and deliberately. You probably won't feel calm given that you've just been insulted, but appearing calm can help you get your point across without triggering more bias. Finally, remember that you shouldn't have to deal with microaggressions on your own. If your manager is supportive, talk to them about what's happening. If you don't feel like your manager will be helpful, think about whether there's someone else you can talk to. Maybe there's a colleague who's been outspoken about equity and inclusion at work, or another leader or manager who you trust. Having an advocate can make a big difference, and you deserve to work with people who will speak up when you're not being treated with respect.